All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel again, man. Earlier I did the video where they were talking about jealousy, the defense in their closing arguments. I have been waiting for some more news to come out. You know, I've been seeing a lot of stuff. They're calling this a modern, they're saying jealousy, they're saying a modern day love story. They're saying, you know, basically agreeing again that, he may be a horrible person or this and that, but he's just, just saying that he's freaky. He's not doing illegal things. It has been a lot that has came out, a lot. And like I said before, I still don't know what the verdict is going to be. I know a lot of people who has testified, who has taken that stand, are probably worried, extremely worried, because just the access of the fact that if this man can get out of this and the access he may have to them, I don't know, man. Something in my gut is telling me it's not going to be what we're expecting, because I'm expecting him to get some time, but he may weasel his way out of this somehow, some way. But got this video here from TMZ, says exposing the Diddy trial, winners versus losers. See what he has to say about this, man. I was going to react to this other video about a Law and Crime Network, but that video was like 30 minutes long, and I was going to have to cut out a lot. I mean, a lot. It was so many trigger words that were used, but we'll check this out. We ain't gonna waste no more time. Let's jump right into it.
Diddy's lawyer, Mark Agnifilo, went in hard on Cassie and on Jane, and it was dramatic, and the jury received it as such. They were riveted. Mark Agnifilo put on a one-man show. He was animated, he was angry, he was theatrical, and he said that this is a case of prosecutors wanting to go into your bedroom. This is the way he put it. This is not me talking. This is me telling you what Mark Agnifilo said. He's saying to the jury, they're going into your bedroom, meaning you're next. That's what this case is about. He mocked prosecutors, saying that this was a case about baby oil and Astroglide, which has nothing to do with crimes, and that this is a case where the jury couldn't get Diddy on his taxes, couldn't get him on any business issues, so they went into his bedroom and got him because they didn't like the way he was acting. So that's the overarching theme here. What is really interesting to me is that we have done multiple documentaries on Diddy, on the trial. I think 7 months ago, I interviewed Mark Agnifilo for one of these docs. And Agnifilo told me exactly what he said to the jury 7 months later. So he didn't waver in terms of his approach to this from 7 months ago until now. Even after the prosecution presented its whole case, it was a carbon copy of what he said on the Tubi documentary, that this is bedroom police. And that is the way he put it. Now,
that's huge. That's huge because, again, you see that a lot. You can go to any video. You can go to this video and you'll see in the comment section, that's what people are saying, which some of it may be true. But as I told y'all before, I don't care how many times a person consents to something. Once they say no, that's what it is. And is fear going to play a factor in this? If they can prove that they were feared, like they feared him, because they already said that they agreed that with the domestic stuff, if they can prove that they feared him and they were doing this stuff because they were scared of the repercussions that would come from saying no, then you have something there. You know, I think most people were expecting a slam dunk in this trial. And they may win it by like a layup or a free throw. You know? Because I expected a lot more. But we got to wait and see.
He went in super hard on Cassie and Jane. That seems like a risky proposition, but he did. He said that when it came to Cassie, she wanted money, that she got $20 million from Diddy. She got $10 million from the Intercontinental Hotel.
Which she should have.
That she didn't go to the police, he said. She went to a civil lawyer for money. And he said that's what this case was about. And then in just a dramatic, theatrical way, he is, Cassie won this, that she's the winner. She got $30 million. Diddy's the loser. He went to jail. So, ladies and gentlemen, he said, this is the modern day love story. So he was just mocking all of this, that he didn't gingerly talk about the various things that allegedly happened. He was just bullish to a point, and this is where it's going to shock you if you didn't know this. He said Cassie wanted. Now you got to remember, when Cassie testified, she was 9 months pregnant, and wow, you're kind of playing with fire when the image the jury might have is of this woman 9 months pregnant. On the other hand, the jury saw some freak-off videos. So even though
I might have to trim that out, but he's saying that Cassie wanted to be, what they had testified about them going to the bathroom on Cassie. I'll just say that she wanted that. Again, was it to please him? What would have happened if she would have said no? That's where we're at.
The image they had of her on the stand was just anathema to what Mark Agnifilo was describing. They saw the freak-off video. So in a way, the freak-off videos benefit the defense here because they could see Cassie engaged in these various acts. So it's not impossible to imagine and juxtapose when you're looking at a pregnant woman on the stand. So he went in hard on her, and he went in hard on Jane. He said, Jane has a great life. Have a good life, Jane, he said. He said, she's living in a $10,000 a month apartment that Diddy is paying for. So what he's essentially saying is this was transactional, that these women did these various things because they were getting something back. And not only that, at least in terms of Cassie, he was saying she was into.
And I can guarantee you that Diddy's team had advised him to continue to pay that rent, to continue to pay it. $10,000 a month.
These freak-offs. She enjoyed these freak-offs. So it was more than transactional. It was pleasant to her. I mean, that's essentially what he was saying. So, when you think about it, it's fascinating that the prosecution is saying that here's evidence of trafficking by coercion, that you look at Cassie and you look at Jane, and Diddy is paying their rent and paying for other expenses, and essentially saying, if you don't do a freak-off, I'm going to pull that away from you.
Right.
The defense is saying, yeah, he was paying for their rent, and he was paying for other expenses and making Cassie a recording star, but it was transactional because they were into it because they wanted that. And if the freak-offs were part of that game, that's just part of the transaction. So they're taking the exact same set of facts, the prosecution and the defense, and they're using it for their purposes, and the jury's going to have to choose which one makes more sense.
Right.
Which is not exactly true, because again, it's a case of reasonable doubt. That if Agnifilo is able to create some reasonable doubt as to consent, as to racketeering, if he's able to create reasonable doubt, that could be persuasive. It could even win the day. What I don't see still is how he gets over the Mann Act. That if you transport, that's the crime. And unless the jury says this is bedroom police, I don't see how he gets out from under that, except that what Agnifilo is kind of telling the jury is ignore that law, that the prosecution is misusing it to get into your bedroom, and that's wrong, and they shouldn't be doing that. So if the jury ignores it, and there actually is something called jury nullification, that could save him even on the Mann Act, or even get a hung jury. Speaking of the jury,
So he was, because the part I know I'm gonna have to trim out, he was just saying about the whole bringing someone over to engage in things. He's saying he don't know how he's going to get out of that one, but he's saying Diddy's team is saying to ignore that. So if the jury ignores that, and remember I said I've been talking about, I don't know about this jury. If they ignore that, and he just said he don't know how he's going to get out of that one, because he did bring somebody over to engage in these things. That is the crime. How can they ignore that? But if they do,
they will get jury instructions now on Monday. They will presumably deliberate late Monday morning, and then we will just see. They will be able to deliberate Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Thursday, the courts are closed, but the judge said he would allow them to continue deliberating even on Thursday, even though the courts are actually closed. I am not sure how that exactly works, and again, we have no idea when this verdict will come in, but it's not coming in today for sure. They will get it on Monday. We will be all over it. So, as we say, stay tuned.
yeah, man. Like I said, I was looking at a lot of articles and videos of just how the defense team in their closing arguments was just like the word was like extremely animated, and presenting these closing arguments. And I feel like the unknown is so scary, because I honestly feel like it was too much going on with this jury for me to be like, oh yeah, they gonna say he's guilty. You know what I mean? It was too much going on. It's that middle area, that gray area of consent and non-consent, that, like, to me personally, I feel they were doing this stuff out of fear. But I think it's because of how many times they did it. In Diddy's mind, it's like he's looking at it as consensual. And you would say, oh, Diddy's paying their rent, Diddy's buying them this, they're doing that. Why not just like pay your own rent or walk away or leave? This man literally had, allegedly, what has been testified, like, knew where they were every moment of their lives. Well, why you didn't just go to the police? Man, you know how many crooked cops are out there? I mean, you already had the damn security team at the hotel, which is why Cassie got paid, who, allowed Diddy to purchase the tape. So it's like, stay tuned. Appreciate y'all coming over and watching, man. Peace out.